you are feeling stress, anxiety, worry about something, and you can tell that you're so attached to it happening or you're not going to be happy, then that's a clear sign that you are so attached to the outcome that you're actually resisting it. Hello, my billion-dollar baby, and welcome back to today's episode. As you know, on this podcast, I break down the billion-dollar ideas from today's cultural leaders. But today, I'm going to be diving deep into something I've seen across so many successful people in the industry as I've been interviewing. One of the things I have been learning about a lot that I find so fascinating is detachment. Detachment from the things you want. That feels scary to even say, right? Like totally letting go of the things you want. There's this subconscious feeling that if you let go of the things you're attached to and the things that you want to happen, whether that's a person you want to date or a life you want to live, that if you let it go, that you won't have it. And so that is a very anxious, worrying, needy feeling, right? And as we see with a lot of things in the universe, the more that you kind of let go and you're at ease, the more things actually are attracted to you. So it's pretty interesting. I want to dig deep into this concept because I find it very, very fascinating. And throughout my career and throughout working with celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers, I've really seen this very similar feeling, which is the feeling of being detached amongst what they're going through for the things that they're looking to achieve. So let's dive deep into it. I think it's going to be fascinating. So firstly, as we know, when we truly want something and we're really wanting it, it's also a reminder on the opposite side that we don't yet have it. So subconsciously, if you really want something and you keep wanting it, you sometimes could also be telling yourself or reminding yourself subconsciously that you don't yet have it. So I always like to compare things to relationships. I think relationships are the most easy one to kind of understand because we've done so much, research into relationships and there's so much information on the internet about relationships. It's a very fascinating topic for everyone that wants to find love. And when you can kind of compare relationships to this detachment that I'm talking about in order to get what you want, you can kind of more easily see it around anything that you want to have happen in your life. So imagine you're texting a girl or guy and the person on the other end is super needy. Like they're always like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Are you free today? Oh, okay, you're not free today. Are you free tomorrow? Like, what's going on this week? Like, too much. You can feel that energy on the other end. And even sometimes if they're not like overly like that, you could just feel when you're with someone if they're very needy and really wanting you to be with them or really needing you to like them. On the opposite end, if you're with someone that's very confident in themselves, isn't attached to the outcome of what it means to hang out with you, of what it means to talk to you. They're kind of at ease. They kind of are free to allow what's supposed to happen. The other person can kind of feel that on the other side. They're like, oh, okay. They feel comfort in knowing that it's just at ease and they can kind of feel more attracted to that also. You see that very clearly in relationships. The person that is needy is actually pushing the other person away, and the person that isn't attached is the person that kind of attracts people to them more, right? So it's very easy to see in relationships. But now let's kind of take it to other parts of your life. If you are so attached to getting a certain amount of views on your YouTube videos or your Instagram or getting a certain amount of money from your business or so forth, you are holding on so desperately in attachment that you're actually resisting it from happening. And this is something I've done in my life in certain aspects with my career. I've seen it. I've been able to really kind of tone this in and see this happening in my life and be like, okay, if I get so attached to this client signing to me or this new opportunity coming through, I'm really resisting it, right? And so I've really played around with this concept and I'm trying to implement it into other parts of my life. And sometimes I forget because it's a natural instinct to want to go back to like forcing things to happen. And I've done my research on this, on detachment. And it's interesting because there's YouTube videos on it, but there's not many like books. There's not much teaching about it, but I feel like it's so important. It's so important when you want to have and create what you want to accomplish in your life, because it truly is the main energy that's actually pushing things away from you. So as I said, you can see it so easily in relationships, but can you start to put it into other aspects of your life, whether it's money, career, person, anything, right? And so I've started to play around with that a lot into different aspects of my life. And I've came across a lot of creators that I've been interviewing on my podcast and ones that I hang out with regularly in the space, whether they're an influencer, business owner, or so forth. And I feel like it's the same commonality behind what they're saying when I'm asking, well, did you always know you were going to be famous? Did you always know that you were going to have this? And yes, there's some people that have said like, oh, I always knew I'd be successful. If you really look back at some of my interviews, there's certain creators that are all like, I just enjoyed doing it. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know that I was going to be who I am today. I just had fun making the videos, or I just like enjoyed the process of it. And that's what I mean, like taking away like attachment to the outcome of what it means to do something. Taking away the attachment to feeling like, okay, I'm only making videos or I'm only working on this project because I need to get my business to make X amount of money, or I'm only making this video because I need to get 5,000 views, whatever it is, whatever you feel that you're attaching to could a lot of times hurt you from getting it, right? You have to go back to enjoying why you're doing it. And so if you look back at some of my videos for some of the talent and business owners that I've interviewed, they actually are really into what they're doing. So yes, I'm not saying you can't want something to happen, but just remember that wanting is the energy of reminding yourself that you don't have it yet. And so subconsciously you keep wanting, you're resisting, rather than being like, oh, that would be cool to have, but I'm not so attached to that having to happen in order for me to do what I'm doing today, right? Like, go back to enjoying what you're doing. And so it was really interesting. I did a little practice with one of my friends. They own a business and they really wanted their revenue to get to a certain amount. And they couldn't get there. I watched them for like over a year just pushing, forcing, like grinding, working so hard. I mean, I was like, ugh. I work hard, but like, geez, your energy is just, you're going through a lot, like I could just feel it on them, like how hard they were pushing and grinding to get there. That's why I don't love on social media when people are promoting like you got to get up, you got to work hard, you have to commit long hours, like you have to work 16-hour days every single day, you can't do anything else, right? Like I don't love that energy, because that is the energy of force. And when you're forcing things to happen, you're in a place of resisting, because you basically are so attached to the outcome of getting to where you want to get that you are willing to sacrifice yourself, your happiness, your health to get there. And that's like a fine balance, because some people were raised believing that the only way they can have what they want to have is if they work super hard, and some people weren't. And I've seen this happen with so many people along my journey. There's people that things just seem to come easier to them, right? And we've all met those people in our lives, right? There's people that I'm like, oh yeah, I just decided that I should do a TikTok video, and it went viral. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, are you kidding me? Right? There's so many people that are trying so hard to get to places in their life, but it all comes down to what your belief is behind what you're doing and behind who you are. So it's so important to kind of dig deep and unravel the beliefs that you have around the things you want. And I always say, like, if you are feeling stress, anxiety, worry about something, and you can tell that you're so attached to it happening or you're not going to be happy, then that's a clear sign that you are so attached to the outcome that you're actually resisting it, right? So take a look at your life and think about the things you truly want, the things that you've maybe been wanting for years that have not happened. I went to this friend that I was telling you about that really wanted this revenue, and I said to him, I was like, okay, let's just break this down. There's so many people that have online businesses that are making far more than you want to make. So many. Like, let's just think about it. How many are there? And we just named some sites that were making way more than he's wanting to make. And I said to him, let's go back to remembering why you're even doing this business in the first place. And so I had him say some things of why he's doing it, just to remember, like, do I even enjoy this anymore? Or am I just doing it for that outcome, right? And so he started saying some positive things about it. And I was like, and why are you grateful for this business? And he's like, well, I'm grateful that I get to wake up and I have my own business. I'm grateful that I have something that I, am excited about. I'm like, yeah, go back to why you did this in the first place and what is so cool about this thing. And once he got back into that energy, then I said, okay, so now can you imagine yourself having that money? And he's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, so imagine it right now. It's easy to make that money. It's easy to have that, but don't force yourself to have it. Imagine yourself having it and then let it go. But don't imagine yourself having it in a place of resistance, because you will get back the opposite of it, right? If you're saying you want something and you're imagining like, oh, I'm going to have this person, this girl is going to date me, this guy's going to date me, but you're in a place of resistance because you want it so badly, you're actually just pushing it away. So if you're ever going to imagine yourself having something, first get into a place of, why are you grateful that you're even in this position? Why are you grateful for your life right now? Why did you even want this type of thing in the first place? There's probably so many other men and women around the world that are exactly like this, if not better. There's so much even better things than you're even asking for. It's actually not that big of a deal what you're asking for. And once you can kind of ground yourself and get back to that place, then maybe imagine it. If you can't ground yourself, then change the subject, because you shouldn't be trying to force things. Like, it's literally the law of detachment. It should be a law. If it's not already, it could be. I need to look it up. But I think it's the most important one. So now, when they then detached and enjoyed why they're doing it in the first place, my friend, I have now seen them make the revenue they want to make. And what's great is, like, they wanted to make a certain threshold, and sometimes they make a little less and sometimes they make a little more, and then they're teetering around that amount. So now the other day I said to them, okay, now that you're around there, do you remember when I sat with you? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, now pick it up. What do you want to make next? But come from a place of detachment. You don't need that to happen in order to be okay, right? Stop getting so forceful around the things that you want. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. Makes me want to cry sometimes when I really think about how hard it is to detach depending on certain situations you're in within your life. I'm someone that can tell you firsthand it is hard. And we're not all in a position in our lives where we can detach from something that we feel we need to happen, right? And I too went so long without making money. I too had a rent to pay for, a car to pay for, and didn't have anyone to help me in situations when I needed to make a certain amount of money. And so I too was in these positions. But I can tell you now, looking back, that it's the times that I let go and I gave a little bit of ease to the situation that I finally got the things I always dreamt of. Another really interesting moment for me was, I never really wanted to work for anyone else. I didn't. I was like, since a kid, I was always like, I need to own my own business. I saw my dad owned his own business. He always was like, that type of person. And I watched him and I always wanted to make him proud of me. And I always said, I was like, I need to have my own business. It's just something I need to do, right? And I tried, I pushed, I forced, I did so much to try to own my own business. And I failed and 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 failed a ton of times. I honestly, if I had a list, people would be like, oh shit, girl. Like I failed a lot, right? But it was so interesting because one of my other close friends, they watched me like they watched me like going so long in between making money, and my confidence was down and I'm feeling bad because I'm so attached to having this certain idea of how I picture my life to be. And they said to me like, what's the worst case scenario if you just go get a job? And I'm like, what do you mean? Because this was like 4 years of me, if not more, like trying to be my own business person and run my own business and have my own business, right? And I was like, I cannot. Like I was so against giving up because I was like, no, that's not me. I am going to have my own business. And they're like, but what's so wrong with you just going to work somewhere else? Like what is so wrong with that? And I'm like, they're like, you can have a steady income and then you can go start your business on the side in your free time. And I'm like, I just can't. I hated the thought of it. I honestly despised the thought of it. I was like, do not say that to me. And what was crazy is they kept saying it time and time again. Like, like think about it, just take a moment. Imagine like the network you have. If you went and worked at a company that, was established, you might actually help the people and clients and people way more than you can ever help them now, because now you have this connection to this established company and you work there. You could probably do a lot more with the people and bring a lot more value to your community by working there. And I'm like, oh, I never really thought about that. And I slowly but surely started to chip away about what my idea was of how my future needed to look. And I remember one time I took my sister we went to dinner somewhere, and I told her I was so excited. I was like, I actually can see myself having a job. And I told her, I was like, like I saw this girl the other day and she works with a ton of influencers too, because I had influencer contacts, but it was so hard to build a company to make enough money for me to be working on it. And so I saw this girl at another company and she was working with influencers. And I told my sister, I'm like, I can see that for me. Like she's kind of like the head and managing all these different types of girls for this company. And I could see myself being that person at a company. And I told her that. And literally, like 2 months, 3 months after I let go of all the need of how it needed to be and look and do and feel. And that's when Unruly came about. And I remember I was like, starting to look for other places to work, open to that idea. And then I had this come up for me. And I was like, oh, shoot, this is kind of a cool idea. I'll do this on the side. Another one of my businesses. I'll do this on the side. But it wasn't until I detached that this idea even came to me. That's what's crazy. And so that didn't even come into my world until I detached. And then I started Unruly, not thinking it was going to be what it is today. And that's something I keep seeing throughout my career is there's people that will have something and they didn't know it was going to be what it is today. So I was not expecting Unruly to be what it is today. And I started it on the side while I was focusing on other things I can go do. It was everything I ever wanted. I get to work with influencers, and a lot of them are females, and it's so empowering and I love it. And I'm like, I look at my sister and she's like, this is exactly what you said. And I'm like, yeah, I thought I was going to be doing it for another company, but now I get to do it for my own company. But I just let go of needing it to be my own company, needing it in order to be okay, right? And so I want you to do something real quickly. And I think this is how we kind of let go. So take a deep breath. There's something in your life that you want so badly that it hurts. It hurts. painful because you need it to happen so badly in order for you to be okay. Trust me, I get emotional thinking about it because I know that feeling, and I have it now with other things in my life. But let's for a moment allow ourselves to let go. Just breathe. Okay. Now, what is so good about your life right now? You actually are okay right now. You can walk, you can breathe, you have family, you have people you love. What is it in your life that you can pinpoint that are things that you can be grateful for right now? What are things that you can pinpoint that makes you okay right now? Do you have somewhere to live? Do you get food on your table? Do you have some money? Why are you okay right now? Do you actually need anything? Do you need anything to be okay right now? And remind yourself you don't. You actually are okay right now. You don't need anything to be okay right now. You don't need anything to be able to watch this video right now. You are completely okay and accepting of your circumstances and where you are in your life right now. You're okay. And now that you can see that you actually don't need anything to be okay, life is beautiful. Life is amazing. We're so lucky. We have so many amazing things to be grateful for right now. And from that place, from that loving gratitude and acceptance of who you are and where you are at now, that's when you can say the things you want and come from a playful part of it. Like, that would be cool to have that. It'd be so cool if I got to do that. I'm excited about it because I'm so grateful for where I am and what I have, and that would be cool. And then let it go. Don't attach to the outcome of how it needs to be in order for you to be okay. Let go. Have fun and let go. And enjoy the process of what you're doing. And no, I don't have a written formula of how you need to get there to every single aspect you need to do. But honestly, you even thinking you need that is attachment. Because I remember that too. I'm like watching these videos and I'm like, can you just tell me exactly how to do this to this to this? And there was nothing on the internet to find it that can actually give me that. But I can tell you that this is the first step. The universe works in magical ways. And if you just allow and let go, it will show you. So thank you so much, as always, for watching these episodes. I look at all your comments and I read them all, and I love you all so much for coming back and listening, because you are my $1 billion baby, and I trust and believe that these videos are going to make you shine and scale and be so abundant in this world and do such spectacular things in this lifetime. So as always, thank you for listening. I'll be back every Tuesday, and thank you for watching $1 Billion Baby.